Welcome back to yet another Buffalo Bills pregame. I'm Randy, Dan is with me, and we're here to talk about what a Rams game we just had. And before that, we haven't been here, and there was a Chiefs game that was very interesting as well. So we had a tale of a couple games, ups and downs. Dan, how are you feeling about the Bills the past few games?
I think given their last few games, they've shown they can certainly, when they're on their game, I think the Bills can beat anyone, and we see that. They beat the Chiefs. Hopefully we can get it done in the playoffs. But I think there's not a team in the league right now that we can't beat. Obviously after the Rams game, there's definitely teams that we could still easily lose to. So definitely up and down. But I mean they still have the division clinched, and that's been the main thing. So
I think the interesting through line between the two games is the Bills' defensive inability to stop the run. And if you have to choose any weakness for your football team, that might be the preferred weakness to have, to let the other team take as much as they can from you running and make sure that you bend and don't break. And the Bills have exemplified that very, very well throughout both games. So very interesting thing that, if you're going to watch those two games, all right, how are we going to attack this team? It seems like you better be coming with a big running game because that would seem to be our biggest weakness. Looking forward to the Lions game, Ralph Wilson Bowl here. The minimum price to get into the ticket as it stands as right before shooting is $416. What a wet dream for Ralph. If he had lived to see the least he could make for every single person in that building, $400, he wouldn't. I don't think he'd be dead if he wasn't already, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. So what do you think, outside of just Ralph Wilson's knee-jerk reaction to this being the hottest ticket in the NFL this week, how does it feel with Buffalo, Detroit, and all of the NFL's eyes focusing on this matchup?
I think it's a really exciting time to be a Bills fan and a Lions fan. 10 years ago, that would have been like a running joke that, the Bills and Lions are both going to play each other in the Super Bowl. And now it seems like this year it's definitely a reality that those two teams can meet up in the Super Bowl. So it's been really fun for both franchises. And, I think it's really cool that, two cities like Buffalo and Detroit are able, to have the game of the week for CBS, and it makes sense why everyone wants to go to this game because they're two of the best teams right now.
We don't necessarily represent this constituency, but for the people who live in that land bridge of Ottawa that between Buffalo and Detroit, this must be wild times. Each other way they look, very successful NFL franchises, and something that they're not used to at all. Would seem that the strength of Detroit plays well to our weakness, so that they probably have as dynamic a running game as exists on the offensive side of the ball in the NFL this year. How do you feel the Bills is going to match up against Detroit, knowing that going into it?
Yeah, so it's certainly not an ideal situation given how they fared against the run and just how the defense looked overall last year. To have to go up against Detroit, they're going to have to get things right. Milano looks rusty out there. The secondary needs to step up, especially with Rasul Douglas being injured now. They're definitely going to have to. It seems like they kind of went away with Dorian Williams a little bit since Milano has come back, so maybe you see a little bit more of him this Sunday.
Getting healthier and re-sign players, getting more reps hopefully as well. Do you think that the weakness to our running game has been exposed? Do you expect Detroit to come out and try to run the ball right down our throat right away?
Yeah, I'm guessing that's what they'll try. And Dan Campbell, his philosophy is definitely to establish the run game, and especially after Sunday, I think that's definitely what they're going to start out and try and do.
Over the last 5 games, their defense has held opponents to much lower totals than the Bills' offense have put up. Do you think their defense will continue having the success they've had, or do you think there's more has to do with the fact that they've been going against not as great offenses than their opponents?
Yeah, no, I think Detroit has had a great year on defense, especially given all the injuries that they have had. I think they're really holding up really well. But the way that Josh Allen and the offense has been looking these last few weeks, Josh Allen's been playing like the MVP possibly. So I expect the Bills to continue that against the Lions.
I also agree that the level at which Josh has been playing, that I don't think Detroit's going to be able to maintain as strong a defense performance as they put up in the past several weeks. So I would predict the scales to be tipped more towards the Bills in that regard as well. And I will take the bold stance of choosing the Bills first. I'll say the Bills are going to win this game 27-20, and I don't think it's going to feel too uncomfortable at all for us Bills fans throughout the entire game. What do you think?
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, you know what? I don't really like how the Bills defense played. Detroit has been looking pretty good. I'll go with the Lions. 35-28 Lions.
Wow, I'm trying to impress some Detroit fans out there. All right, like a homer podcast like this, we're picking Detroit. All right, interesting. Well, either way, we'll be back no later than the playoffs because we are division champions this week. Of course, we reserve the right to come back earlier if we so choose, Buffalo Bills faithful. So don't get mad at us. We're back too soon. But no later than the playoffs, we'll be back, and hopefully my wing will be a little bit better. Go Bills!